This is like a moment that has been in the making for legit. I'm a finger counter. So what? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Like what, 5 years?
It's I can't even believe it's been that long.
It's crazy, right?
Crazy,
Oh,
crazy. Like
man.
5 years. Wow, time
Like,
flies.
so for those of you watching who don't know who Mr. Al Harris is, he founded Cancer Who. And Cancer Who is the first Black owned cancer support center. Like, let that sink in for amazing. And I remember learning about what you do, and I was so in awe. Like, I was like, wait, so you literally started an organization supporting people going through cancer treatment who are either alone or it's just their families or they're going through a lot. And I was like, wow. So I kind of want to introduce for those who don't know what Cancer Who is and who you are. Um, Actually, let me take it back. Let me take it back because it starts with this story. Please tell us who Bruce is and how he is um his journey, his story, his life is the reason why Cancer Who is what it is today.
Okay, so I'll take you back to Bruce. So Bruce was my wife's stepfather, right? And Bruce had Bruce was dealing with cancer, and this was like when me and my wife was like really young pups, young in love or whatever. And I would come in the house. Bruce is the stepdad, so I'm like, hey, how you doing or whatever. And that was really like our dialogue. That was just really it. And what happened with me and Bruce was one day, he just brought up running for some odd reason. He brought up running and he was just like, hey, you run? And I'm like, no, not really. But I'm like, I'm young, I'm in shape. So I'm like, no, but I mean, I can run though. So he's like, yeah, you ever ran on Kelly Drive? So that's like, it's like a basically like down in a park in Philly, here in Philly. So
Okay.
he's like, you ever ran on Kelly Drive? And I'm like, no. So he's like, oh yeah, well maybe you should let me take you out there and whip up on you or whatever. So I'm like, come on now. Like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, whoop on me. First of all, this guy has cancer. So I know he's not gonna be like, he's just talking smack or whatever like that. So we get to talking about it, and one day he just was like, all right, well come on, we're gonna go out here, we're gonna do a few miles or whatever like that. So I'm like, all right, cool. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna take it easy on him. So we get out there and we, for the first mile, we like literally beside each other. We tried and we talking, having good conversation. For the second mile, he let me feel good about myself. I'm a little bit ahead of him, not that much. And we ran like 5 miles total. So when we get to the end of 2.5 miles, we stop. So he's like, yeah, how you feeling? And I'm like, man, I feel good. Like, how you feel? You all right? Like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So I'm like, you sure? Like, we could walk or whatever like that. So
Right.
he just was like, he's like, no, 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 come on, let's go. So I'm like, all right. So he started to talk a little bit more smack or whatever. So I said, all right, I'm gonna turn it up. Now, mind you, I'm not no runner. I'm not a runner at all. So as soon as we start back at the 2.5 mile marker, I come out, I'm like, I'm full steam ahead. Right? So I run as fast as I can for about like a half a mile. And I never look back. So the time that I did go to look back, Bruce is like flying by me. Like, and I'm talking about like he's not even running as fast as he can, but he's going. So I'm like, yeah, how long can he keep this pace up? Make a long story short, by the time I got back to the car, he didn't probably had like breakfast, like lunch, like and talk to people and all that. So he like dusted me so bad. Like I think he
Wow.
ran his last mile was like probably almost 7.5 minute mile or something like that. Mind you, I'm running on like an 11-minute mile. So he dogs me. So we get back to the car And I'm just amazed. I'm like, I can't believe like he really like he's going through active treatment at this time. I'm like,
Because he had colon cancer at the time, correct?
right. So I'm like, oh wow. So he gets on the phone with my wife's mom, and he just talking like, yeah, T, I dogged him. You know, I had to put it on him. The young pup thought he had me, and so I'm like, okay, okay. But what it did was it created like a dialogue between us. So now when I do come over, we got something that we can talk about, and we built like that bond.
Hmm.
So with us building that bond, it just took our relationship to like the next level.
Hmm.
Like we talked about running more. Like so that was like my introduction to running. So we were talking about like running sneakers and like the days we would run, and we would like after that we started to run more. So we would run like twice a week, 3 times a week, and he
Wow.
basically was like teaching me like how to run, like how to breathe and things like that. So it was kind of tough when like Bruce had passed away because
Mhm.
it was like we had built that bond,
Mhm.
and I had something to look forward to every time like I walked inside my wife's house. So it was like kind of tough when he passed away. So when I saw like the different like the size of support that he like mostly needed, as far as like that bond, and
Mhm.
he needed like that partner, that like encouragement, even though it wasn't like encouragement like I'm pushing him, but just that encouragement that like to go out there. So
Mhm.
that was like one of the biggest reasons why I started Cancer Who, because I was like, well, for me, like for me, I was just looking at it as like I was having a good time, and
Mhm.
I was like, it was just something cool to do. But for him, it was like something way more, just in the sense of he had somebody that he actually could bond with and take his mind off of what he was going through. So
Right.
when he passed away, like those thoughts ran through my mind, like dang, like now I don't have that partner no more, whereas though I can talk or whatever like
Right.
that. But I know he died peacefully because he actually had somebody that was like fulfilling those things that he wanted to do on those certain days. Like,
Mhm.
and with sometimes like with cancer, it's not that people um distance themselves because you have cancer, it's just they distance themselves because they don't know how to handle it. Like they don't know how to take it. So, they just stay distance.
Yeah.
So I think that's how he felt. Like, a few people just like standoffish because they didn't want to come around and show their emotions and things like that. So with somebody like me, where it's like we're just free,
Right.
it was like a good thing. So he was like really one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to create Cancer Who, because I wanted to give that like companionship to like other people that's going through cancer, and also their family too. Because like I said, it's like my wife and her mom, so they got to sit around and see him be happy, like,
Right.
or they got to like hear the stories of us going back and forth and stuff like that, and create that like family bond.
And it
So I
took
wanted to.
the pressure off of the illness and off of the cancer, basically.
Right, yeah. So it brought the good, it brought the good vibes. It created like the good energy.
Right.
To whereas though like he could have been, if it wasn't like me or somebody else or something like that, it could have been like
Right.
I'm just sitting in this house doing nothing and
Right.
just basically sitting around thinking about what I'm going through. So that was like one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to create those relationships, those companionships, those kind of vibes with the
Right.
family members, to where though nobody's thinking about what's going on. We're
Right.
all in a good time and a good moment, and we we just having a good time. So
Something you said to me in our earlier conversations, when I first met you, oh, there you are, is um, when someone has someone to sit with them during their treatment. It's, I believe, and I'm loosely quoting you, but you said something along the lines of it's like medically healthy, or it's shown to be medically proven that people are more likely to pull through if they have someone there, much like what you said, taking their mind off of it, making a party, and when they're in the room getting treatment, bringing their favorite this, like, just bringing that joy. Like you mentioned, smile is medicine.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what I was about to say. And I'll even break it down to you for like a trickle effect. This in the sense of the support. In the sense, the support is a medicine.
Mhm.
Uh, and to break it down, is more so like the support of somebody's being there and not and that person not having to think about cancer. It helps take off stress, depression, and anxiety. So
Mhm.
when you take those things away, um, you're you're opposed to have to taking those meds that you would normally take for stress, depression, and anxiety. So if
Mhm.
we're taking those things away by just having good vibes, good energy, and putting
Mhm.
a smile on your face, then yeah, that is a form of medicine. Like we are the medicine, and we're taking away not necessarily the bad medicines, but we're taking away the meds that you don't necessarily have to take because we're providing that for you. So
Well,
yeah,
take
it's
our
important.
people through um, basically what you do in terms of Cancer Who and what you physically, you and your team, who are called ambassadors, go in and do. Like what does it look like in action? And I want to ask you pre-COVID, and then we'll get into COVID after that.
Okay, so yeah, so pre-COVID, we basically we come to the chemos, we come to the radiation appointments, we go to the doctor's appointments. We're like that extended family member. So
Mhm.
we're like that. Everybody has that cousin in their family that's not really their cousin, but they call their cousin. So that's like us, right?
Yeah.
And what we do is just say if a family member can't make it to a chemo appointment for some odd reason or something like
Mhm.
that, or if you have to if you can go to the chemo appointment but you have to leave early, you can
Right.
trust in us that we're going to be there throughout the entire chemo appointment, so your loved one won't be there by themselves, right? And a lot of the times too, when people go through that situation of with cancer, what we do and we come in to do is we try to break down the doctor language in the lamest terms. So this way, you guys
Ah.
are not in there when the doctor is talking these fancy terms or not giving you guys all the options. We can kind of sort of break those things down to you in the lamest terms, so whereas though it's understandable to you and your family member. So this way, you can base your options around a different set of terminology versus to you
Mhm.
fully not understanding what the doctor is saying. So that was like pre-COVID, right? Um,
Ah.
so during COVID, it's been
Right.
more, it's basically more of the same thing, but everything is
Okay.
just virtually. So we're doing like the FaceTime, the Google Duos, the Zooms, and things like that. Um, and it's kind of, I don't want to say it's more of a better approach, but it's more so
Mhm.
like uh, I feel like we can be more involved just for the sense and the fact that pre-COVID, it was like restriction as far as like, all right, you can go. A doctor wouldn't allow another person in the room with you. Now it's
Right.
just fully up to the patient. Where if I want to have this person on my phone or my FaceTime, or if what we encourage is putting your whole family on the Zoom
They're
while the
allowed to be
doctor is
now,
talking. Right. So
which prior they weren't
we're
allowed to be.
right. So you never could have your whole entire family inside of a doctor's office. It's only like you and probably one other person. Now
Right, right,
with
right.
like Zoom, you can have you
Gives that.
and like your whole entire family. So this way, if anybody got a question, they can ask the doctor directly. So COVID has
Wow.
kind of been like I don't want to say like it's been like a blessing, but it's more so like we could do a lot more just because of like
Okay.
the technology that's involved.
That makes me happy to hear because I was worried or wondering, and worried, I was worried about how COVID was affecting your organization because I know a lot of it is the physical body of being there for somebody. So I was like, with restrictions being so tight, how is that playing out?
Yeah,
So
this virtual care has been like awesome. Like just like I said, just for the sense of the fact of like just the Zoom feature and the
more.
FaceTime and stuff like that. And it's like the virtual cancer care is like it's starting to be a thing now. Whereas though like even with like the doctors, it's more so like you can get an appointment over your phone these days. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
with things like that, if you're supporting somebody who's going through cancer and say is this a day they have a doctor's appointment on their phone,
Right,
they're not literally moving out of the house to go to the doctor's appointment. It's on their phone. So
right,
that right
right.
there in itself helps out with the person that's going through cancer and their entire family, because you never know the situation. It could be like, the son is taking the mom and he has to go to work at a certain time, so they're rushing, and this is like, so COVID has kind of like kind of eased a lot of things up.
Nice. So I remember us talking in 2016, and I asked you in a year, which would have been 2017, where do you see yourself? Where do you see cancer? Who and what's an immediate goal? And you said a dedication center, and at least one by then. And so as I'm researching you and learning about you, and I'm seeing all that you've done in the last 5 years, I'm like, yo, homie's got a dedication center. You have like increased your following times a lot. Like you've done a lot of the things and more that you set out, at least that we discussed that you wanted to do, which is,
It's been
oh, you there? Technology. He froze. Come back. Al, you there? You there? Uh-oh. Stand
I
by.
wanted to make it more.
Did
I
you hear me?
wanted to
You
make.
cut out big time on my
Oh, I
end.
cut out. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I did.
No, it's
All right.
okay.
Okay,
I was
I'm
like
back.
clapping and then you froze.
Oh no, I heard you. I heard you. I heard you.
Okay, so
I'm so sorry.
say what you were gonna say over. Sorry, because I missed some of it.
All right. So I said back then, around like 2016, 2017, like I just wanted to have like a social setting where I put everybody in Cancer Who together, right?
Hmm.
More often, because we would have our 1 year annual event, which is the Cancer Weekend,
Hmm.
but that's like 3 days, and to me that wasn't enough for everybody to be together. So
Yeah.
the center was just more so like, yo, I see so many more gaps in support that we could fill.
Hmm.
But the problem, I don't want to say the problem, the thing was back then, I wanted to do everything for free.
Mm.
And it just sounded so crazy to everybody, right? To where as though, like, all right, you got all these big grand ideas.
Hmm.
You want to do like all these extravagant things, but you want to do it for free. Like you don't want to charge anybody. You don't want to like use nobody insurance or anything like that. Where and a lot of people just didn't understand, right? So it was like
Hmm.
kind of foreign language to a lot of people. And it was at
Right.
like around those times where I was explaining it to so many people, right? And it just wasn't making sense. So after a while, I started to lose like faith in it, and I
Hope.
started to
Right.
doubt myself
Yeah.
because I'm like, don't nobody understand my vision, right?
Mm.
So it was just like it was kind of frustrating around that time where I'm like I would explain it to you like I'm trying to sell you a car,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I want to open this center and do this, that, the third, and da, 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 da. And this
Well,
guy,
what was
okay,
it because of
okay.
the finances people weren't getting that? Like you were gonna have a center that people came to for free? That's what the disconnect was?
It was just more so like, all right, so the first thing people would be like, all right, so how you gonna pay for the center, right? So
Okay.
and to their credit, I didn't have a lot of these answers. I didn't have a lot of answers. I was just so like
Big
just
picture.
so gun ho. Yeah, like all
Yeah.
right, we're worried about that when we get there, but we just gotta get the
I'm the
center,
same
right?
way.
Right. And it kind of a lot of the people around me, at that time I was like, oh, I don't get it. Like they hating, this is that and the third. And it really wasn't that. It was just more so like um I just had to let it sit for a minute. I just had to like
Hmm.
sit on it and just let it like, it's like a pot of gumbo. Like you just
Right.
had to be patient. So but it was just frustrating. So I like around like 2018, right? I
Hmm.
really like let it go. I'm like, all right, nobody understands. I'm
Wow.
sure at this point I don't even understand it because I'm like trying to talk myself into it, right? So I'm
Uh,
like 2018. I'm like, yeah, it's over because my wife had just got pregnant again. So I'm like, all right,
with
whatever.
your third, right?
So with my third, so I'm like, you know what? And like, so it was like, as soon as she got pregnant, I'm like, see, and I wasn't supposed to do this no way because like now she's pregnant, and if I did with it, like if we would have did it, it would have been like in the midst of this. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
God sending me this sign that I should not do the center, right? Now, lo and behold, I want to say about 6, 7 months later, when she's like 8, 9 months, that's why I'm like, now the vision is a little bit more clear now. Like, I think I
What
got it.
cleared up?
So what cleared up was I ain't gonna lie, I really started like praying a lot, right? I started praying more, but I just was like praying not for I'm not praying for funds, I'm just praying for the vision. So
Mm.
I'm like, can you just make it make sense for me? Like, right? Because
Oh,
I'm like, if you can make it make sense for me, then I can go out and I can like I can get the dream across a
yes.
little bit more clear to where though everybody's gonna understand me. So what happened was it really like I don't want to sound like cliche or nothing like that, but like one day I woke up and it clicked. I'm like, you know something? Like I ain't think of it. I like sometimes when people be trying to do too much or you looking for the answers so many places, it would be like it'd be right
Yes.
here. It was like right there, right? So I'm like, why didn't I been this think of this, right? I'm going so many different avenues.
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, all I got and it was simple. I'm like, all I had to do was just ask, right? I'm doing all this selling. I'm selling.
Mm.
I'm not even really asking for nothing, right? I'm more so selling you my dream so I can believe in it too, right? I'm like, all I gotta do is just ask. So one day I
That's
just woke
cool.
up, just asked everybody. So I woke up one day and I was like, you know something? Because that was my thing. I was like, yo, I never asked nobody. I had that like false male ego pride thing where it's like, I'm
Mm.
a man, I ain't asking nobody for nothing, I can do it all on my own. And I really had to realize, like, it really clicked with me, like, yo, you're not doing this for you. This is not for you. This is for the people that you support. So
Yeah.
you telling me you wouldn't ask somebody to help one of the people that you support? That's
Right.
when my pride and my ego go out the door. Right?
Wow.
I'll do anything for them. I'll ask for anything for them. Right? So I'm
Right.
like, yeah, it's not about me. It's not for me.
Right.
So then
Ooh.
I was just like, I'm
Ooh.
like, all right, I'm gonna just ask. I woke up one day and I'm talking to MJ, talking to my wife, and I'm like, yo, we should just ask people for money, right? And she like, that comes off wrong all the time. What you mean, ask people for money? I'm like, no, like, um, I'm like, look, I'm gonna personalize it to the core, right?
Right.
I'm gonna put everything out there, like personally.
The
So
finance part of it, you mean?
the whole finance part. So what I did was
Right.
one day I go get my son from school. I had like a change jar. I take my son with me to the bank with the change jar. He like, what you doing with that? I put the change jar in the coin machine to like count up your coins. I'm like, listen, I'm dumping it all in the coin machine. I think it was like $300-400, something like that. He's like, well, what you doing that for? Like, cause like I'm trying to show you, like, we working towards something.
Right.
So I think he got motivated, so it motivated me. Like, oh, dad, like you serious? Like, all right, yep. So then I was like, all right, we want to take it a step further. I got like 5,000 contacts on my phone. I just wake up one day and start texting everybody in my phone, asking them for bare minimum $1,
Right.
right? But what I did was I didn't copy and paste no message. I literally went down
And
all
wrote
5,000 contacts
individually.
individually because to me, everybody relationship not the same.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not going to ask somebody that I didn't speak to from 10 years ago. Like I'm not going to talk about the same things with him that I just talked about with somebody from yesterday. So
Exactly.
all text messages they all look different. It wasn't no hey Joe, hey Bobby. It
Right.
was like someone was like, yo, what's up, Joe? Someone was like,
Grassroots.
right. Someone was like, you're someone was like, hey, how you doing? So and it just was like, oh how your mom doing? Oh, remember that time? This is that and the third. And then it's like, hey, listen, this what I'm trying to get done. This how much I got raised. I got about like $500 raised, and this what I'm trying to get to. I know we ain't rapped in a while, or I know I just talked to you yesterday.
Right.
I just want to know, just can I get at least bare minimum $1? Anything helps,
Wow.
like. So I did that. It took me like a week, right? I did it with my phone, then I turned around, I did it with my wife's phone. Now she didn't want to
Wow.
do it just in the sense of the fact, like every time I text something out, people don't respond.
Right.
She like people do not respond when I text these things out because we have events, we text them out, people wouldn't respond. Oh well, fine, cool, right? But like I said to you, the vision. when I woke up that one day, the vision was
It was
just so clear
clear.
to me that
Yeah.
it's not about me or you, right? It's about them. So I'm telling her like, listen, just ask because you never know the position that people was in,
Right.
right? You never know what's going on in nobody's life.
And you never know
So
who God has already set in your path to use because he gave you the vision. So he already has it worked out on the back end.
right. So listen, and I was in church one day and somebody told me you wanna hear God laugh, you tell him you tell him your story, right? So
Hands down.
she was like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, listen, just do it. So she did the same thing. She does it, right? Now, mind you, out of my phone, I would say I probably out of 5,000 people, I probably got like $1,000, right? It was a little discouraging, but I'm like, I'm still going. Out of her phone, she had one person like say, all right, we'll give you some money. But one person gave up 90% of the money we needed. Mind you, this one
Get
person
out of
we have
here.
never. This one person, and so the one person is like, yo, you never can speak of my name, say my name, or whatever, right? But this
Right.
one person gave up 90% of the money. And like I said, it was a person that we didn't necessarily think would ever give us money, like
Right.
ever. Like,
Yo.
but that one person was going through a time where her husband just passed away from cancer, right?
Wow.
And she was like, listen, it was just on my heart
To
to
give.
where as though, like when I woke up this morning and you sent me that text, it
Wow.
like stuck to me. So I just want to give you guys, I want to give you guys this. Like it was like 90% of the money. So I'm driving. My wife called me. She's like, MJ, like, yo, what you doing? So I'm like, I think I was just dropping the kids off or something like that. And she was like, yo, you need to pull over. I'm like, come on. Like, I'm like at this point, I'm like, I'm
So
a little
focused
hot
on right.
because I'm like, I just did that all that with my phone and nothing came out of it for like $1,000. So she's like, yeah, you need to pull over. I'm like, listen, I am not for the games right now. I'm like trying to stay focused. I'm like, no, you need to pull over. So I'm like, all right. I pull over. She's like, hey, listen, we got the money. So I'm like, what? I'm like, we just talked 20 minutes ago. We got the money in 20 minutes? She's like, I promise you, we got the money. Right? So
Yo.
I'm like, please do not play with me like this. She's like, so she's like crying. I'm like, are you
Oh.
serious? Like, so it was like, I was like, yo, like, I couldn't do nothing but put my head down and start crying. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like,
Right. Like, whew. Almost
yeah,
getting me.
I'm like, are you serious? So, it was just more so like, yeah, like you got to believe, like just keep believing, right? But it was just
Right.
more so. It just brought me to the fact. I'm like, yo, like
Wow.
you just never know where people at in their life. Like
Right.
like I said, she had a loved one that just had passed away from cancer, and if it was like, all right, if we wouldn't have kept pushing and kept asking, like we probably would have never asked her. Just for the simple
Right.
fact, like I said, she never was like. I'm not saying that she wasn't supportive, but it just would have been a person we'd have been like, nah, I'm not gonna ask her. So I was just like, yo, I really like
But you took yourself
I
out of
really
it.
right, yeah, I took myself out of the equation, like no pride, no ego.
Mm.
I set that all to the side, and I was just like, I'm gonna just ask, and I don't really, um, I'm not saying that I don't care, but I'm not gonna let that weigh on me to where the people like, yeah, he's out here asking for money, but I'm not,
Right.
I'm asking for a greater cause.
Right.
So it was like, I'm like, I think she had 3,200 contacts. I'm like, one out of 32 gave you money.
Isn't that
Like it
crazy?
only take one
One.
time. Like one, like,
One
and
time.
when I
Let that
tell
be
you,
inspiration for someone who feels like giving up. It only takes that one time, but it
one,
took a lot of energy to get that one time, but it was so worth it, right?
it was super worth it. And I was like, yo, I would have rather it had happened no way, like any other way, because
Such a
I'm like,
powerful
yo,
story.
how I'm saying to myself, like, I'm like, you are you serious? Like that really just happened?
That
And
really,
it was just like,
and
yeah,
that
like yeah,
strengthens your
so just
faith,
meant to
I'm
be
sure.
for sure,
For
for
sure.
sure. And I was like, yo, I think I was going to church like once a month. I'm like, I gotta go every Sunday. I gotta go every Sunday. I gotta pay my tithes and all that.
I'm done.
Yeah.
So when did you open the center?
So we opened it February. What was that? This is coming up on next. This February will be 2 years. So what's that? February 2019.
2009. Oh yeah,
Two,
yeah. I'm still thinking it's
2000,
2020.
right.
Right.
So
Got you.
2019, February 2019, we opened it. It was like so surreal though. Like it like and it all happened like the way it lined up was just crazy. Like
Right.
I actually when we went to go get the center,
Right.
it was like problems with getting the center.
Right. Oh,
So I'm like, yeah, more problems. And it was on my birthday that we actually got to get this. Now, mind you,
wow.
my birthday is on Martin Luther King's birthday,
January
right?
15th.
January 15th. Just like the person was like being, so I had to re-explain to the person that I was trying to get the building from what the vision was, right? But it was like a lot bit more clear for me to explain to this person. So they didn't let me sign. We didn't really get the building until my birthday. So it just meant
Wow.
something to me because I'm like, all right, we got the funds together in December. I'm thinking we're gonna like see now we got the funds, we're ready. Like I said, the person was just playing around with the building and didn't understand the vision, so they really wasn't trying to give us the building. And then lo and behold, it just took to where as though it was like, all right, here, what birthday present? Boom, on my birthday. And that
Wow.
was the day I announced it. So it was like, okay, like wow, like I that was my birthday present for that
That
year.
was your birthday gift.
So I was like, yo, what about like and I had like I had my daughter was like here and whatnot. I'm like, yo, like, so I had like got I wanted a daughter. I wanted the center. Like, all that just happened. I was like,
Just
oh, this is
happened.
crazy. Like, yeah, right? I'm like, this happened to me. Like,
Well, speaking of this is happening to you, I saw you posted about 3 or so days ago that your next big goal is to raise $1 million for
right.
your ambassadors, for beauty, for the family. So, like, take us through what this fundraising looks like, what it's for, and how we can all help.
So, well, how you can help? Somebody once told me, right? There's no nation like a donation. So,
I like that. I like that. Okay.
right. So,
Where would people
uh,
donate to? We'll put it on the screen. We'll put it at the end.
so donation. All right. So I'll tell you the most simplest way you can donate. Right.
Okay.
You can go to our PayPal, which is paypal.com/team overtime.
Okay.
One, and I'll get into the team overtime thing later. Or you can go to our Instagram and it will take you to, it's like the link in our bio is like a link tree. It will
Okay.
take you to every form of like donation that you could donate to us, right?
Okay. Okay.
So this past year during COVID, I
Hmm.
just saw like it was like a lot more gaps just being created with,
Mm.
all the things that were like done, like us staying in the house and us not
Right.
being able to be around each other and like the physical support and things like that. So I just saw like so many gaps. Like every day, I'm like, this is crazy. And like I said, like pre-COVID, we're more so involved physically. We're in the hospitals. We're
Hmm.
in like
Hmm.
we're talking to the doctors and the social work and things like that. Then we went from that to where as though like now we
Nothing.
can't do like yeah, we can't literally do nothing for like months, right? So I'm like, but I saw the effect that it had on the people that we supported. As far as
What
like
was that effect, if I may ask?
we like so with the center, we had to shut the center down, right?
Uh,
But with the center, we're running like 5 programs out of the center. We're running like a beauty program where women come get beautified, like so they're getting their hair done, their makeup done, they're
yeah.
getting their nails done, they getting like in a photo shoot at the end. That's like one program, right? And that's
Wow.
like 4 or 5 women a month.
These are
So it's
women
like
who have cancer.
right women that went through cancer, and we
Right. Right.
also have like health programs, like we're doing yoga on the weekends, we're doing like zumba, we're doing like hip hop cardio and things like that.
Wow.
So like a lot of these things got shut down during COVID, and like I said, I saw these effects, like these negative effects, whereas though like all right, now that these things are shutting down, the people that we support just have more idle time, which is
Mhm.
like the devil's playground. So I'm like,
Hands down.
we have to fill that idle time, right? But the problem is like, all right, since the center is shut down, there's no funding. So
Mm.
Now we're back in like the age before the center, right?
Wow.
But the people we support are doubled. So it's like, yeah, like we need to we need to play catch up. But
Because
now
at
we're
this
just like,
point, you've helped over 250 families, correct? And
right,
counting.
right, right, in counting. And it's like it's not just like Philly, it's everywhere. Like we're supporting people in LA, like Dallas, Vegas, Miami, Virginia, Atlanta. We're
Wow.
all over, right?
Wow.
So it's like we have to be able to get to these people and not just reinstore like the cancel who family tradition. We gotta like put some more on it. You're right, because they didn't went through things during COVID. So yeah, I want to come making you feel special before COVID. Now, like after COVID, I want to have you feeling like really, really special, right?
Really special.
Because you didn't went through a lot. So I'm
Right.
like, you know something? I'm looking at all the things that like I said, I'm just looking at the gaps we need to fill as far as like genetic testing, as far as like the beauty situation, as far as like getting these people like like cancer who ambassadors to where as though um even though they might not be able to walk into the hospital with walk into the hospital with you physically, they can be
Right.
on the phone with you the entire time that you
They're supported.
at your chemo, right? And like just being your ambassador. So the
Right.
ambassador is like I said, it's like that cousin that's not your cousin,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Whereas like they're always around, they're always there for you. So
Right.
and it's like, and also too for like the programs, like we need to almost reinvent some of the programs that we already have. So I'm like, you know something?
Right.
Um, just like back in like 2016, 2017, whereas though it's like, all right, I'm putting out this message, and the only
Hmm.
thing I have to make this message as clear as possible, right?
Yes.
And I have to give it to the people in a way where as though they're gonna be able to understand it and they're gonna rock with it, right? So I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
how can I do that? So that's why I put up the post. I'm like, it's not really necessarily the point of $1 million, but the
Right.
emphasis of when you hear $1 million, it's like, all right, whoa, like like they're not playing. Like,
Right.
they
Right.
really need this money. So it's like, you know something? I wanna raise $1 million. So this way, like right now we're at like I want to say 260 families. I want to support 260 families this year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know something? In order to do that, we need this kind of funding. So, we can get that genetic testing done. I know that's one thing that's like been on my mind lately because, like I said, we deal with the family. So if your loved one is going through cancer, why not have like people in your family be genetically tested to see if it actually runs in the family? So
Right.
I really want to help the families out in that sense, along with the other resources that we give them as well.
Have you
But
found that that's a thing that tends to be really common or likely? Is that why you're so passionate about the genetic testing? Like, have you seen that it tends to be in family lines?
right, yeah, and it's like something that's like so like it's not common. Like it's not common just
Not
for the
common
sense
that
that
it's talked about or
not that it's common that's talked about or that it's even done
test.
because
Gotcha.
right the testing is not really done a lot or like the doctors. I know a lot of the doctors when I would be in a room is like they would ask you're like they would ask the person that's going through cancer, has anybody in your family ever had cancer before anything like that? And
Mhm.
it's like some people don't know. Some people
Yeah.
would just be like, I don't know. Or some
Right.
people might be like, my grandma or my aunt or something like that, right? But um let's do that genetic testing to see where as though like, all right, it might be on this side of the family. So these other people, like, let's just take it. And not saying that the test is like 1,000% accurate or anything like that, but
Right.
there's ways to like it's like prevention care. Like let's do some prevention care to where as though it's like,
Preventative.
all right,
Right.
right, yeah. So let's get into that lane. So this way we're not catching it at stage 4.
Right.
It's we're catching it at stage 1. All right, my mom, I didn't even know my mom's mom or something had cancer or something like that. Because like back in
Right.
that day, people would have cancer and not say anything.
That's true.
Like they
That's
wouldn't say
true.
nothing, or they wouldn't like if they did, they would not let it affect what was going on. They still would live their normal life. Like my
Right.
grandma had lung cancer and still smoked cigarettes.
Wow.
Right, so it was like, and it's a lot of families that's like that too. Once you start digging into like these family backgrounds, so I'm
Hmm.
like, this genetic testing really would help out a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and like just the meaning behind the testing. Just
Right.
just the meaning behind it. People will take it a little bit more serious and like, health is wealth. So they'll start taking care of themselves a little bit more better, just knowing like, all right, this might run in our
There's
family.
Well, another thing you do that people may not realize is you work and help a lot of kids. And I
Yeah, like these
saw,
Cancer
for
Who
those who don't
kids.
know, tell us a little bit about Tristan's story because he just he's cancer free now, correct?
Right. So Tristan is the first kid that we ever supported, right, in Cancer Who.
And how old
And
was
this
he
is
when?
Tristan was man, these kids, they so big now. They like my height, right? And I've been with them
Wow.
since like five, like like
Wow.
5 and 6, right? So Tristan was when we started supporting Tristan. I believe Tristan was 5. I believe he was 5, right? Because now he's 11. He's 11,
Wow.
right? No, I'm sorry. He's 12. He just had a birthday. His birthday is actually July 4th. So he's 12, right? And he was 5 when we started supporting him. But it was one of those things where, like, when we first started cancer, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was going so many ways. I didn't know who to support. I just knew, like, all right, if you had cancer, we was going to support you.
That's like many
And
of
it
us
was
with the thing we're starting, but which is,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, like somebody had reached out. By this time, I think I was supporting by like 2 adults. And Tristan's mom had reached out on Instagram and was like, hey, do you support kids? Because my son is going through, like, he just got diagnosed with cancer. I think it was like that day or the day before, right? And she was like, all
Mm.
right, we're doing this fundraiser for my son for like his treatments and stuff like that. She was like, I would love it if you guys came to like this fundraiser. And it was like a fish fry or something. She's like, yeah, I love if you guys came to this fundraiser and explain what your organization does. So I'm like, all right, like, no problem, we'll come through. But I was like, all right, I don't want to come through empty handed.
Okay.
So I had like a couple bucks. I had took on my bike, right? It was like around, this was somewhat around like, it was like November. Yeah,
Wait,
it was like November.
you had a couple bucks and you bought him a bike.
I bought him a bike.
I want to buy the bike from where you bought it for a couple of bucks.
Yeah, it was like the bike was probably like $90 or something,
Right, no, no,
right?
no. That's dope.
So we took him the bike,
Okay.
and his mom was thrilled. She was thrilled,
Oh,
right? So she was like, yo, so she was like, just tell me what you guys do. Mind you, at this time, I couldn't even tell you what we was doing. So I was just like, listen, just tell me when is this next chemo appointment. She told me.
right.
And when I met Tristan, I was like, all right, you know something, bro? I can't promise you a lot. I promise you this one thing. I won't miss none of your chemo appointments. Like,
Hmm.
not none, right? I don't care
Wow.
how long you're on chemo. I'm never going to miss one appointment. So I was like, because at that time, I was broke. I'm like,
Yeah.
the only thing I can give you is my time,
Yeah.
right? And which I didn't know at the time, which was like more important than money. So he was
Valuable.
having appointments every week. All right, I'm there every week. I'm,
Wow.
I'm just there. There's times where I don't even say nothing at the appointment. I'm just
Wow.
I'm just there, right? So years later, when he like when he beat cancer, it's like I'm like a brother. I'm not
Right.
even like, so the doctors would see me with other families as well, but they would look at me as like, oh, that's Tristan's brother. Because I've been there with Tristan for so long.
Right.
So even to where though like the doctors really did not know that I was not his brother. So
Wow.
when he just like when he beat cancer and his mom was giving a speech and she was saying, oh, I want to thank Al and Cancer Who for the service, the doctors was like, whoa, well, what do you mean what service? Like, well,
Oh.
that's I was a part of an organization called Cancer Who. They like, so I was not his brother?
Wow.
It's like, no, like he's like, well, the doctor's like,
Oh,
oh, it makes sense now. Like we see him with Tristan, but we also see him with X, Y, and Z,
other
and X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z.
families.
Right. So they're like, oh, so he was like, wow. And one doctor was like, well, I thought he just had a lot of family.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
like, right, yeah. So I just got to explain to them all as well too. Like, no, this is what the organization is. So this is why you might see me twice in one day, doc. because this is one of the Cancer Who kids. This might be another Cancer Who kid. Like at one point, we're supporting in one hospital. We're supporting like 10 kids in the hospital.
So quick sidebar question with that. How do you get authorization to go and sit with someone who has cancer? Like, and you're not family. Like how does that, yeah, how does that work? Like, is there
You want
special
me to tell you
permission?
the truth?
I do. The people want to
I'm
know.
just I'm just walking in.
What?
So that's how it used to be, right? Whereas though, like, I'm just walking in with the family. So the family would be like, if the family was ever asked, like, well, who's this? Oh, his family. He's like, that's
So
my cousin.
but you come in with the family.
Right. So I would come in with the family, right?
Okay.
But on days where it's like, so it would be a day where like I would be with Tristan and Tristan appointment would be over, but I had to stick around at the hospital because like another Cancer Who kid is there, like an hour later. And I would probably see the same doctor. I would be like right in the same room with the same doctor, right? Where the
Right.
doctor is looking at me like,
What's
he
up?
was just here like with Tristan. So, but the family is telling the doctor like that's family. So it's like really nothing the doctor can say as far as like, okay, like he's family, right?
Well, let me take it a step further because you're only one person. You're only one body. You can only be so many places at one time. And I know that you have ambassadors, which is what you call your volunteers, which I think it's amazing. How are they able to go in and sit with someone who has cancer, or sit with a young kid during their treatment? Like, how does that work if it's not you?
Well, now, well, yeah, like now it's like I don't want to say it's rarely me, but now I have like a lighter load. But the ambassadors, like each ambassador only takes like one person. So like they get to pick whether they want to support a kid or an adult, and
Okay.
then that's just their person that they support. And we tell all the ambassadors when they first sign up, like, listen, this is not just something you're doing for like the day, the week, the month, or the year. Like you're signing up to be a Cancer ambassador, you're basically signing up to be like a part of this family. So we
Mm,
want them to be like, really
invested.
intentional, right? Yeah, intentional, invested, and we want you to know like this is something serious, right? And mind you, the ambassadors, we only ask the obligation for an ambassador for 10 hours a month, and that
Hmm.
10 hours a month can come in a variety of ways. 10 hours a month and one doctor's appointment. Mind you, every ambassador that we have, they do way more than 10 hours a month, like way more,
Right.
right? So it's like, yeah, we only asked you for 10. You might have did like 40 or 50 this month or something like that. And
Right.
you probably did more than like one hospital visit, right? And we just
Right.
asked for you at the end of the week to just document it, right? So we could just know better how to support that person, or
Right.
like if they have something coming up, like hobbies or something that they want to get across, let us
They
know. You
join.
might, right? Yeah, we can help you guys out with the hobbies that they want to do or something that you had in mind for you
Okay.
guys to do. So that's how the ambassadors go. Like, and it was at like one point where I was supporting like 6 days a week. I was going to 2, 3 chemos. Mind you, and
Wow.
these chemos might not even be at the same hospital. So I might be at
Wow.
three hospitals in the same day.
Wow.
Like, yeah, three hospitals in that one day, like three different chemos, three different people, three different families. So it was like, yeah, I was running crazy, and I was doing that for literally like, once I quit my job, I was doing it for like 6 days straight for like 2 years straight.
Well, I had asked you a few years ago if it ever, how do you, because that's heavy, like that's life that you're sitting alongside. That's people who are, um, they're fighting for their life. So how do you navigate such a heavy situation? And at the time I asked you, you said it's because it's your purpose, it's your talent. You don't ever feel, I guess, tired or drained. It gives you energy. So that was in the beginning, and now it's been 5 years. Is that same feeling still as strong?
It's the same thing. It's like that passion. Like when I wake up in the morning, I never feel like this work or anything like that. I never feel like
Mm.
I wake up in the morning. I'll be so ready to like talk
Take
to
on the day.
everybody that we support. Like
Yeah.
I'll be so hyped to talk to them. I try to text almost everybody in the morning time. Like I know they be tired of me. Um, I have like 20 group messages where I'm like, hey, good morning, ladies, or good morning, fellas. Like, good morning, kids. What's up? Like, and it's just that passion in me. Like, I was just um blessed, blessed to like find my passion to
Mm-hmm.
where as though like, yo, I would do that, and that was like the reason why I had to leave my job because it was like interrupting my passion. I'm like, yo, I
Mm-hmm.
cannot do this, and it's draining me, and
Mm-hmm.
still like give I was giving, I give Cancer Who everything. Like sometimes it'd be
Yes.
like Cancer Who is so my life to where as though like I'm doing something like every day within Cancer Who. Like it
Wow.
might be like a birthday party, like a party. I don't know, like something, but every day is something like something Cancer Who because it's like we like one big family. It's not like really
Yeah.
like a 9 to 5 organization. It's like we really like a family. Like before
Right.
I even got on here with you, I was talking to one of the Cancer Who moms, and
Wow.
we just talking about the day. Like, all right, so what you got going on today? Like, hey, how you doing? What's up with the kids? How's the family? This is that and the third. It's just
Right.
like general conversation. But that's like,
It's a part of you. It's an extension
yeah,
of
exactly. Like, and everybody in my family feels the same way too. So it's like
you.
we got like one big family.
Wow.
We just keep adding to.
Well, I did a little digging through your Instagram, and one of your very first posts was January 15th, 2012. Guns up
Ah,
talking about blessed.
I know exactly what you was talking about.
Now it's about to
Oh,
be almost to that date. You were 25 at the time.
mhm.
I'm not going to do the math because it's not my gift, but we all know you're not 25 anymore.
I wish I was.
But what
I was.
would you say today to that 25-year-old looking back at where you're about to be next week, turning on January 15th, your birthday?
Um, be patient. Be patient
Mm,
because it was that was like such a frustrating time. Like
mm,
back in 2012, that was literally like I want to say yeah, that was before Cancer Who, and I was just so lost. I
mm.
was so lost. I never like as a kid, you know how people would ask you like, yo, what do you want to do as you grow up? I never ever knew the answer. I never knew the
Wow.
answer, and I was so embarrassed by not knowing the answer. And that was all the way up until I turned 25. Like, I still didn't know the answer to that, and it was like embarrassing, like
Mm,
to where as though like I didn't know the answer so much that I couldn't even make nothing up.
wow.
Right, so it was just like a frustrating time,
Hmm.
and that's why I was like, yo, I think around that time when I had got that tattoo, I was telling myself like, yo, you're gonna be blessed one day, right? You're gonna
Mm,
be blessed, but I'm
mm.
like, man, it's taking a while, right?
Didn't
And
feel like
then
it at the time.
I didn't, and it was just like, all right, well, that was more in a time where I just really start coming into my faith, where I'm like, all right, I gotta believe in something.
Yeah.
At this time in life,
You
I don't
felt
know, I don't believe in
lost.
nothing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
lost. I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. Like,
And it's such a empty feeling inside. It's such a when you feel lost in your career or where you're going, it just feels like, for me, when I was lost or when I've been lost, it's like an ache.
yeah,
It's just
exactly.
uncomfortable because I think it's because this was always in you, so it was brewing, but you just didn't know what, you know, you know what I'm
And
saying?
my mom, it was something like the pressure my mom used to put on me, right? And not like knowingly, my mom didn't put this pressure on me, but my mom used to always tell me when I was younger, like, you're gonna be great. You was born on Martin Luther King birthday, right? You're gonna be great. You're gonna be great, right? And
Mm.
I used to, I used to be like, Mom, why you be saying that? Like, don't. It's like that's pressure, right? I used to be like, it's like it's Martin Luther King. It's not like we're talking like it's a day. Like, right? So I used to be like, Mom, don't
Right,
say that. Like, yeah, no,
right.
like I named you like my name is Alexander, but she like I named you that name because of this, and you were born on this day. Like this, none of this happened by mistake. You're gonna be a great man, and this is that and the third.
Yes, mom.
So
Yes, mom.
right, she used to put so much pressure on me,
She
right?
was
And my
speaking
mom,
life.
like she was, and like I got an older brother, an older sister, and a younger sister, right? But out of all of them, I'm like the Mom is boy. So my
Yeah.
mom would like cuddle me the most and things like that. But she always used to be like, I would cry. She used to be like, "You're gonna be great." I used to be crying. You're gonna be
Oh,
great. You're gonna be great, right? So when I started to become an adult, I was like, yo, like I'm
yeah.
my mom just like put too much pressure on me because I ain't great enough, right?
Right. Oh,
So that was the aching part. I'm like,
right.
and it kind of like took me to where as though like I used to really like had to like I had to talk to my mom like one time like mom just stop telling me like I'm gonna be great because it's not happening. Like I'm 23, like I
Right.
dropped out of college, like
Mm.
the great thing is over. Like all right, mom, it ran its course, right?
Wow.
She was like, yo, I'm
But
gonna
she
say that.
didn't though. She kept going.
What she like even still to this day like I almost had to block my mom on Facebook because she my baby great like mom like okay we get it like but yeah my mom and it was like my mother-in-law too like my mother-in-law was like a crazy inspiration on me. She
Wow.
believed in me more than I did. Like
Wow.
I would talk to her and I'd be like talking to her and she like really would listen to me right
Right.
and really would like believe in me
Right.
like and it was like one day she was just like whatever you need I got you.
Right.
And nobody really never expressed that to me before. Where it's like, I'm like, you really believe what I'm telling you?
Right.
Like, so you really believe that
Right.
I
Right.
can do this center? She's like, I believe you. I'm like, oh wow, like,
Wow.
and like for a year straight, like I would, well, for years, like since we had Cancer Who, I would only wear Cancer Who gear.
I
Don't ask me why I
remember.
ain't got it on the night,
I
but
remember that.
I will only wear Cancer Who gear, and my mother-in-law will only wear Cancer Who gear. If she's not at work, she will only wear Cancer Who gear,
Wow.
right? And I'm
That's
like,
mad love.
it was like years where like she just wore cancel blue shirts every day, and I'm like, yo,
Wow.
like
That's
that's
support.
crazy. I never had support like that ever in my life. So I'm like, you know something? Like my mom and my mother-in-law, they was like, I'm like, yeah, y'all two right there, y'all special.
And look at you. Look at you. Look at us. Look at you. I'm in a position where I'm talking to you about goals and dreams and things that you told me that you've now manifested, that have now come to pass, that you are now doing in action, and it's only growing. Like, I'm so hyped for this opportunity. And I mean, speaking of believing in someone, you believed in me. Like the way we met and you hit me up and you, I was like, like I can relate to that feeling of like you kind of feel lost, you're kind of trying to figure it out, like they don't really have a handle on what you're doing, but you were just so supportive of my interviews, supportive of my journey, supportive of little old me doing an interview. This is
No,
4
you was so
years ago,
dope, yo. You
guys.
don't even
And
understand.
I was just like, like, okay,
I,
like
I
just
I'm not even a big reader, right? And I forgot how I came across Black Santa. I came across Black Santa, and I'm reading this article. I'm
that's
like,
Davis.
right, shout out to BD. And I'm like, yo, this article is like so like dope. Like, and I'm like, damn, who wrote this? And
Oh,
I'm like, so mind you, when I emailed you, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm emailing you. I know she's not gonna respond. Like, I'm like, she's like a big time writer, like journalist. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Then when you hit me back, I'm like, oh, I'm like, she really responded. I'm like, oh, that's what's up. I'm like, no, I'm a fan. This is and the third. Like, I love the way you wrote that article. Then that's why I start looking at more articles. I'm like, oh, she
oh
right for real, for real. I'm like, oh, okay, like,
man.
all right, this is dope.
I'm so hyped to have done this interview. I'm so hyped to have this moment. Like, you have no idea. The work you do, I believe in it so much. And I feel like my purpose is to share your purpose because it's going to help someone else. Like, this isn't about me, And
Right.
but I love the opportunity that I get to have this conversation and to say, like, Cancer Who is dope. Dope, dope, dope. Amazing. And we need more of this because there's so many people who are struggling alone and in silence and they're hurting. And I would love to share with our viewers. if they want to become an ambassador and they're in California or New Mexico or Texas or, wherever, even let's say South Africa, shout out to Africa. How can they do that?
All you got to do is, like I said, I'll try to make it as simple as possible for everybody. If you go to our Instagram, which the Instagram is just Cancer Who, you go to the link in our bio. Every link to us is in that bio. So how someone can be supported, how your loved one can be supported, or yourself, how you can become an ambassador, it's in there.
Okay.
How you could donate. A few interviews, like a few of the past articles that we've been in for like the Black owned thing. All that is in that bio. So if you just go to the Instagram is cancer_who. You can, as soon as you type in cancer, I'll be so hyped about this. As soon as you type in cancer who is going to come up.
That was perfect timing. Yo, this is a wrap. It's a wrap. This is perfect. But I will say that I want more opportunities to check in with Cancer Who to see, maybe even, get some people who are willing to talk on camera about what Cancer Who's been. And this is an ongoing conversation, is basically what I'm saying.
For sure. Maybe when we hit the million, we get tapped back in.
There we go. There we go.
Once we hit that million, we gonna tap right back.
There we go. It's Zoom mic drop. I'm hitting end record because this was great. This was my brother.